I went to Rome for 6 days and I journaled every single thing I did and every single thought I had. And here's the 6 biggest takeaways I got. If you don't know me, my name's Liam and I make a lot of videos like this, so check me out. I procrastinated writing this video for ages simply because I didn't know what to title it, and how stupid is that? I was suffering in my imagination, but in reality I went to Rome for 6 whole days and journaled every single thing that I did and every single thought that I had, so I had actually a lot of material to go off of. And there's lesson number 1 for you. We suffer more in our imaginations than we do in reality. So whatever that thing is for you that you've been putting off, but you would create a wave of relief if you got done, just take note of what that is and do it immediately after this video. That's the greatest gift I could give you, is sparking some action in your life. But stick around, I'm going to tell you the 6 most important lessons that I learned while journaling all my thoughts in Rome. And as a hint, these aren't really about Rome. You can go watch a video about Rome if you want. These are the ideas that I derived while being in Rome. I wrote down everything from the interesting details about their water bottles to even the apparent human tendency to complain. So just strap in and you might learn something that could spark your next big idea. At least that's my goal for you by the end of this video. But I'm going to take you back to before the trip even occurred. I knew I wanted to take what I'd noticed while I was in Rome and make it into a video, but again, I didn't know how, so I just wrote down everything. Firstly, I noticed how much planning goes into packing for a trip, but how could putting clothes in a suitcase be so stress-inducing? And there's lesson number 2. The more you cast your attention into the future, the worse right now becomes. The reason packing for a trip sucks is because you got to run yourself through every potential scenario that you might encounter, and more importantly, every bad thing that could possibly happen. You think, oh, what if it rains? Then I got to pack a rain jacket. What if it randomly gets super cold? Then I need a sweater. What if I get pickpocketed, which actually did happen? Then I got to bring my fanny pack. Do you notice the consistency there? It's what if, what if, what if, what if. So I'm saying you shouldn't just not run through potential scenarios. Just simply shed some light on that thought process as it occurs while you're packing. The reason you're so stressed is because you're having to think through these potential negative outcomes. And the broader importance of this is that we do this all the time, not just while packing for a trip. So notice that as you wind down for bed, as soon as you lay down, put your blanket on, you're going to start to think about the things you have to do tomorrow, the people you have to call, the assignments you have to do. But you're not going to do anything about it right then. So that right there is unnecessary suffering. And then in the moments when thinking is required, just separate yourself from that stress a little bit. It's going on now, and it'll become a little bit easier to manage. Lesson number 3. This occurred as we approached the airport. Now, again, I was being very, very mindful of whatever feelings came and writing all of them down. So this one happened as I was in the passenger seat of my dad's truck, and we're going up one of those little windy roads to get to the upper levels of the parking garage. And it was in that moment that it set in that I would be entering a lot of unknown, and so a wave of discomfort hit me. And so I noticed it and just wrote it down. But the significance here is that humans really don't like changes in environment. And that's nothing new, but we do learn through these reminders, so here you go. But as our departure became more and more real, my routine in my known world was evaporating. And so I was going to be in an airport for an unknown amount of time, eating unknown foods, seeing unknown people, feeling unknown feelings in an unknown place. So notice, it's the unknown, the what if that's just creeping back in. So I was suffering from the same thing that I was earlier.
Not suffering, but I just noticed it. So I was running
myself through potential scenarios that just won't happen. So that slight anxiety was not necessary. And the obvious potential scenario is, what if this plane crashes, bro? That one's almost laughable because I know the answer. If the plane crashed, I would die. But imagine you were having a conversation with the stress and you say, hey, so stress, what should I do to get rid of it? He's going to say, oh, just
cancel the trip to Italy, and the chain of events that are unknown won't happen.
So when you define what avoiding unknown actually looks like, it's laughable. So if you aren't going to change your actions, then just allow whatever might occur to happen. And then you can die in peace as the plane crashes, bro. But to summarize my travel to Rome, my intention was just to surrender to all the experiences, all the weird discomforts, all the awkward people, all of it. For instance, when we were about to board the plane to Rome,
there was a 70-year-old dude, and he's standing there, and his nose is just dripping like a faucet. And he was barely conscious. He should not have been on an 8-hour flight to Rome. But it was just dripping from his nose and just hitting the floor. It was awesome.
But let's get to what I did in Italy. So we got to the hotel at about 5 p.m. Rome time, and I had zero idea what to expect of the city itself, but my dad really talked it up. He was like, dude, you can eat whatever you want and not get fat. The pizza is the best pizza you'll ever have in your life. And to lay the land a little bit, the outskirts of Rome, where our hotel was, the infrastructure is a lot like Japan, if you're familiar, just the cement buildings, those gas stations. But your typical idea of Rome, where there's just basilicas and colosseums everywhere, that's not how it is. There are just regular places in Rome, so that was cool. After dinner that night, my dad and I took the train to the Colosseum, and that brings me to lesson number 4. Even vacations have a honeymoon phase. So my dad's in the military, so I've moved 10 plus times. And people always tell me, it must be really hard to move around all the time. No, actually. One reason I enjoy moving is that initial enchantment with a new area. Even as a kid, I was heavily romanticizing every single new location, even if it wasn't that cool. For instance, I remember being 10 to 12 years old, and we were moving to North Carolina. Nothing crazy. But we just traveled a few days across the country. My dad drove a silver Toyota Tacoma, and then he towed a trailer with our belongings. And so this process was pretty routine to me, but I remember what it felt like approaching our new home, especially that one. So that day the skies were gray, it was cloudy, it was probably noon, and I was in the back seat looking out, just wondering what my life was going to be like in this new area. And especially as we got about 20 minutes away from the house, I thought really deeply in that moment what might take place in the surrounding areas. So I was daydreaming. It felt like a movie. The point I'm getting at is that switching environments has a way of shaking up your mundane view of the world, and my vacation to Italy was no exception. For whatever reason, we have the tendency to romanticize anything that's unknown. For the citizens of Italy, though, a train ride is just a part of their everyday routine. It's not anything special, but for me, the train ride was a snapshot of another world. It was so different. So I was looking at the clothes they wore, the way they carried themselves, and obviously the way they looked. In short, humans abhor the familiar and romanticize the unusual. And a change in environment can be a great way to shake off the ordinary, boring dust that you probably carry a thick coat of from doing the same thing every single day. And this can spark those new ideas, and that's what it did for me. That's where this video is coming from. Lesson number 5. It was apparent to me that Rome had a lot of young, romantic couples. So every sight to see was accompanied by couples doing those cringy-ass pictures. So as a single guy, a desire was implanted in my brain, and I thought, oh wow.
Should I go to university here, or should I just hurry up and make enough money to come here whenever I want?
And those are cool ideas, sure. But the lesson is that we are willing to undergo a lot in order to fulfill a desire. And these desires are usually created unknowingly. Sure, it was unfolding in front of me, and I was seeing people in Rome and wanted the same for myself, but I didn't choose that. And to fulfill such a want would require years and years of effort. So if I just took that desire and ran with it, I'd be literally trying to warp the outer world for years in order to achieve some external set of circumstances. So choose your desires carefully. Don't let them choose you. The greater the distance between where you are and your desired version of the future, the more valuable it's going to appear. Also, understand, not wanting something is as good as having it, so you do have the choice. And last but not least, lesson number 6. In our regular everyday lives, going outside is usually a means of just getting to another inside. So for example, every day I wake up in my house, and then I get inside my car and drive to school so that I can be inside of a classroom. For the most part, going outside is just something we must do. But when we travel, that is inverted. When I was in Rome, being inside was a complete waste of time. I was only inside as a means to get to the next outside moment. So sleeping, eating, travel, etc., those were just to get me to the next outside. On a vacation, being outside is no longer a transition. And everybody says that time flies and they have a problem with it. And I think one of the reasons for that is because we aren't trying to live our everyday lives as if it were a vacation. So go outside a little more and time might slow down. Even if it's just 20-30 minutes during your evening taking a walk around your neighborhood, that 30-minute window might be the only thing that makes a random Thursday memorable at all. So no, I didn't actually tell you anything about Rome. I told you everything I thought of while in Rome. Because anyone can look up a video and figure out what happens in Rome. But who cares? It's all about the meaning and the ideas you can derive from seeing different things. And that's all I wanted to share. So I think that for the ordinary person, these out-of-box ideas can be accessed by going camping for a night, even if it's 20-30 minutes away from home. It doesn't have to be flying to another country. It's just a commitment to a change in environment. Move away from the certainty of routine, and that's where all the ideas are. If you enjoyed this, comment or subscribe or do something like that. My name's Liam. I make videos like this all the time. Peace out.